It's cheaper than therapy.
Yep. All right. Welcome to episode 3 of Money, Marriage, and
Magic.
That's right. You can only say magic that way. I haven't perfected that yet.
You can't get your voice up that high.
I think I can. But
I don't know if we want to see
isn't it always like the very deep voiced singers can somehow hit the highest of high notes?
Not that I know of.
Think about it.
Hey, anything's possible.
Like think about like a Dave Matthews. He's got a really raspy low voice.
Maybe. Yeah. All right, Zachary.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I think we should talk about.
I mean, we could talk about our day.
Yes.
Or we can get down to business and we can talk about.
I'd like to hear how your day went. How was your day?
My day was good. Busy, like quick, like worked out, worked. I feel like I did a million things, and I'm still doing a million things, and the day isn't done. But good day, really good day.
High five to workout.
High five to workout.
As you can see, I'm in like a run. I went running last minute. I didn't want to do it. I ran into Jess on the road, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I want to jump in the car and go home, but I pushed through it.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy I did it, and guarantee it's going to change my mindset for the rest of the night because I did it.
I'm happy.
Yes.
So it made you happier for us to do this podcast together.
Yes.
Otherwise, you may have been cranky.
Yeah.
Zach's never cranky.
No, it's impossible. And we just bring some magic into it.
Right? Totally.
So hope everybody's feeling good out there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hopefully you're listening to 1 and 2 and you're joining us on this journey of money, marriage, magic, and just talking about all those things every episode, bringing you guys value in every way we can. So,
and let me start this off. And I don't know if we ever said this in our past episodes. Zach and I are by no means experts. We do not claim to be experts. We only know what we know, but I feel like we enjoy what we know, so we want to share it. That's really our objective here, is to like take the little things that we've learned along our little path of marriage and share them with you. And we want to know if you have tips and tricks too, because there ain't no perfection around here, people. None. Zero. Like, we are in the weeds sometimes. We are digging through the trenches, and other times we feel like we are on cloud 9. So we have a very normal, functional, dysfunctional marriage.
Yes, and I think that sums up a realistic marriage. There's no such thing. I don't think there's a such thing as perfection.
Oh, there is no.
There is, and once you wrap your brain around that, and accept what you have, and just accept what you have, and figure out ways to make it better if it's not.
Yes.
Then it's possible, and that's where we think we can add some value to friends and family and anybody listening. That's why we're doing it. But main is just for me and just to have a conversation. Why not? We have the ability to record it and show it to y'all. So
and share it with you. So hopefully you enjoy what we put out there. And please always feel free to share in the comments. Anything, good, bad, ugly, we're cool with that. We can take it.
Yes.
We can take it. Okay, so let's talk about something. This is deep.
Deep.
I got stuff on my teeth
already.
Bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Teeny tiny. They wouldn't see it on the camera, but I can see it.
Really?
And
It's
me.
gone?
Yeah. If you got
Zach will always
if you got
tell
lipstick
a
in your
woman
teeth, if you got a
something,
booger.
Yep. I love that about
even
you.
if you have some nose hairs before going out, and I know that it's possible to trim them out at someone's house, I might tell you.
Zach will.
More girls than guys. Guys, let them run. I'm picky, man. If I'm talking face to face with someone and you got nose hairs growing out, I'm sorry if you do, and I'm sorry, but it just it bugs me. It bugs me. I don't know why. Not a lot of things bug me. Anyway,
tangent done.
Yeah,
let's get to business.
Yeah, I did my diary intake right there.
Watch out for him. He is Mr. Tangent about nose hairs. Don't mess around. Okay, we're going to talk about money, and we're going to talk about money and marriage and how it affects your marriage. And I don't care what kind of marriage you have, it affects every single marriage, whether and you're going to see it be good sometimes, you're going to see it be bad sometimes, you're going to see people struggle. It's a hard subject, I feel like, for everybody.
I think it could be realistically number one issue, good or bad, in a marriage. Mm-hmm. Because being married is the easy part. You get married. No, I'm just saying, you commit to it.
The actual process.
Yeah, you just get married.
Like, hey, I'm married.
You commit. Cool. Like we talked about in the last episode.
Well, actually, in one of the articles that I found today, and we'll go there here in a bit, but one of the biggest things about money in marriage is people spending too much money on their wedding.
So that's categorized as living above your means, maybe not
or going into debt for it.
Correct. Yeah.
And then you've got this weight on your shoulders for who knows.
So let's start there.
How
What are your
long.
thoughts on let's say we friends are getting married. Let's say friends come to us.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're planning a wedding. You guys are in the business. What do you guys think about this? And we know the world. We know, financially maybe where they are. And they say they want to do this, they want to do that. And we're like, that's guaranteed like $10,000 above. I know what you can spend. So they're like, yeah, it's fine though, because we can take out a credit card. We can get, my family's going to loan me money.
If somebody told me, this is my personal, please don't take offense to anybody and do what you want to do. It's your wedding and you may only have one, or you might have many, who knows? But if you're going to have to get an extra credit card to have some sort of lavish wedding, don't do it.
Yeah, I think
do
we're both on
it.
the same page too.
Oh, let me just say we did not. Okay. We got married at the courthouse. And then on our 1-year wedding anniversary, we had an actual wedding, a ceremony, and a party with all our friends and family. And we budgeted that, you guys, like intense budget.
We drove to Vegas. We drive our old
we
stuff.
saved up. We paid for everything. We did not go in debt for our wedding.
We spent $10,000, I think.
But we worked really hard for that.
And then we wanted back
really
the next day.
hard. Well, come on now.
Yeah, but we like going into debt for anything that I think above your means. It's not a smart decision. And if it really is that important, then do it on your 5-year, do it on your 10-year, and set a plan with your significant other of how you can get to that point.
I mean, at the end of the day, I totally cut you off. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I feel like you're marrying the person that you love. And this person is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. And you're going to have all your family and friends there. What more do you really need? Like, yeah, you're going to need some food. Yeah, you're going to probably need some drinks and some music and some sort of entertainment. You're going to want to wear something fancy and something really pretty. And, you're going to want flowers and stuff, but it doesn't have to be insane. I would say do not go into debt for your wedding, first and foremost, ever.
Well,
if you are somebody listening who is not married, simmer on that.
Yeah, just give it some thought. And to come to an agreement with who you're going to marry is a big part of should we be married. That's the starting point of financially combining everything. If you're going to do that, which we do feel talking about this subject, combining everything is important. It's one of the main things. Do you have separate? Like, let's go to the next. Do you have separate bank accounts?
Ooh, okay. So let's roll into this.
Okay.
I've got this article here from CNBC, and I found it really interesting. It was like 5 money mistakes that can destroy your marriage. And as I was reading them, I was like, right? So what do you think number one is? The number one thing that could destroy your marriage?
The number one thing, hiding of some sort?
Yes, hiding money. Congrats, Mr. Gittler. Yeah, hiding money from your significant other.
Why do I think that? Because it happens way more than anybody will admit to. And like,
you probably hide money from me when you bury it in the backyard to hide it away for like 10
I tell you,
years, and you're going to
I tell you, I have it buried. Money trees are going to grow.
Money trees, they exist at the Gittler house. We will not tell you our address. Okay, yeah, hiding money for sure. Like, it says 2 out of every 5 couples admits to hiding money from their significant other. Ooh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like you want to get to a point where you don't have to do that. If you feel like you need to do that, that's when you have communication issues, and you need to just talk about it. If you're going to be married to someone, you're able. I mean, the thing people don't ever go back to with problems is like all these things you say when you're actually getting married in your vows and like the book or whatever it may be. I mean, it's together forever through thick and thin. So if you tell your significant other, like, this pisses me off, I don't want you spending this, blah blah blah, I want us to combine. No. Well, then you'll get through it and you'll come to an agreement of some sort. But to get there, I think it's important because for us personally, we've always had everything combined.
Yes.
Or know everything. But then when you don't know, because I handle more of the money, but that's just, pick your strengths of any relationship.
And usually I would say in most marriages, and I'm speaking from like friends that I've spoken with and family members, people that I know, there's always one person who kind of manages the money, and then the other kind of either spends it or, takes care of, is delegated to other activities or other things in the marriage that they're really strong at, right? And Zach's definitely the money handler. So, okay, number 2 also has to do with hiding debt.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine.
I think I probably asked you blatantly.
I think it was like written out, like, you better tell me if you have any debt.
If you're going to get married to someone, I mean, you should be able to ask these things very openly and and appreciate the person that's asking it to you when they ask you. Even if you have debt and you're like, this sucks, I don't want to talk about it, you should appreciate that someone's wanting to make it better.
What would you do right now if I was like, honey, I forgot to tell you, but I got 20 grand in school debt that I totally forgot about.
If you didn't tell me and I asked you a couple times,
yeah, then it's a problem.
I'd be kind of pissed.
But if you'd never asked and then I brought it up.
But then I look at everything as a
that's
learning
tricky.
experience. And I would understand it would be hard to say to someone, which if you're out there, I understand it's very hard thinking you can just, shovel it on the rug and it'll never, be bad, but it will. So it's better to attack one thing at a time and bring that up to someone. Like, how can we together, I'm sorry, I'm bringing this to the table, but I have 20,000 and I want to take care of it, know? And once you take care of these things, I had school debt a little bit and I had to pay everything myself, and I slowly did it. And then I finally did. The day that happened,
I'm proud of you.
It makes the world of a difference. But as days go on, you get so overwhelmed with so many other things in your life and thinking like, you know what, I don't see anything. Maybe once a year I get some bill or interest is accrued, but deep down inside it's a curing of badness, and add that into the pot of all the other shit that's going on in your life. And then you think, why am I always angry? It's not one thing, it's the majority. So you take one of those things off your list and eventually you will become a happier person.
Awesome. Okay. So the next two are really interesting. They kind of go hand in hand. The next one is overspending.
So living above your means.
Yeah, if one person in the marriage is always constantly I still feel like in our marriage I probably spend more than you do, but in smaller increments. When you spend big money, you spend big money, so maybe it balances out. I don't know. But there's always one person I feel like who tends to spend a little bit more or spends more frivolously than the other. But I can definitely see how overspending can be a big crash.
Well, yeah,
bang,
and that's
boom.
both. It's living above your means. And we know plenty of people that do that. And again, trying to figure out how not to, having the conversations with your partner of just being truthful and honest and getting on a certain level with each other.
And do it from the get-go. I mean, if you don't start off with good habits and in a good path when it comes to money, it's going to haunt you forever. I've been there. I've done that. I think we've probably all done that. But even if you're listening to this today and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so not telling my husband the truth about the $500 dress I just bought or whatever it may be, find a way, please find a way to let him know. Or else just don't spend that $500.
And also letting in that same categories of letting if one person makes, let's say, $50,000 and the other one makes $100,000, that does not, I feel, give you any world of being able to spend more and being like, well, I make more, I can spend more. That's, you're just opening up for another problem, another fight, another just
podcast.
Come to an agreement, come to an understanding of everything. I mean, we've had many talks, over the years, even you feel like you do maybe overspend or spend frivolously.
Well, see, I spend differently. I buy the groceries and I buy all of the toilet paper and cleaning supplies and I decorate the house and I feel like I spend more than you, but you don't buy, you're not the person going out buying those things. So there's this weird tug of war for me in my brain personally. Am I really actually spending more than you, or am I just the person buying the necessities for life? Yeah, I buy more clothes than him. This guy could wear the same dang shoes, pants, and shirt. You give him 5, he's good for a week. He just wash him and wear them next week. I'm a woman. I like clothes. I love shoes. I have an addiction to jewelry, but I feel like I'm super conscious on how I spend my money.
Not always been the case.
Our money.
I was going to say,
sorry, that was rude.
Everything takes time. Everything takes time to practice, to master.
I feel guilty when I spend money, and I need to learn that I've worked hard. I'm not going into debt when I'm purchasing these things. I need to find a way to not feel so guilty.
But
something must have happened.
No, it's just normal, because previously, before getting married, and I remember this is I make my own cash, I do what I want with it, and I spend it when I want. That's anybody's life prior to getting married. It's when you're single, you do what you want. But when you get married, you take things good and bad. You take responsibilities on, good or bad, and you have to understand you're going to have to absorb these things, good or bad.
Okay, so the next one is really interesting. And when I read this and my friend was over today, I was like, what? How? Huh? And then when I read deeper, I understood. The next one is underspending. What do you think? What do you think that means? Underspending could be detrimental to crash and burn your marriage.
Underspending, being just cheap?
Kind of, yeah. So it says on the flip side, if one person in the relationship is too tight with the purse strings, Problems can arise just the same. It can be embarrassing in social situations if you know one person. You know why?
Yeah, if you're watching this, you know who we're talking about.
If you know us, you know exactly
but see,
where this is going.
To do it on a huge scale, yeah. But if your significant other is the same way,
Yes.
but understand
That would be interesting. You'd be very wealthy. Or you'd be very careful.
But
I find this interesting, though. It says, in this case, it may help to consult a financial advisor or a money coach, to weigh in on your budget. So, like, I think if you are at, like, a butt head where you are always fighting, like, day to day to day about these things, seek help. Like, don't be ashamed. Like, there are problems in marriages all across the world. Like, seek some help. There's somebody out there who can totally help you.
I agree. And it doesn't matter how much you make, how much you have. It really doesn't. Because I've talked to many people, I've researched enough where finding someone who, why wouldn't you? If you're not feeling too good, you go to the doctor. If you're financially not feeling good, go to a financial advisor. Go to whatever bank you are. They will sit down with you. They want to take their percentage from you. I wouldn't go that the first step to go further, but it's a starting point to just go there, look on financial planning, look at your records per spending.
A neutral party friend who you look up to, who you respect their, the way things, not always necessarily true, but the way things look from the outside, it could just be really good just to say things out loud, This
all goes down to don't feel bad about talking about it.
Yeah.
1, with your partner, 2, with other people that you trust and look up to. Yeah, I agree. It's free. It's free advice. So with someone you trust.
Okay, last one, financial abuse. So, disputing, like you said before, over money and power. I make more money than you. I can spend this. You make this. Like, I think no matter what, it's a roller coaster of life because it's highly unlikely that 2 people in a marriage are going to bring in the exact same income, And then you've also got this crazy whirlwind of when a wife stays home and has children, which is phenomenal. And they're like, well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't have a job. Are you kidding me? You have the hardest job in the whole entire world. I'm sorry, men. And well, maybe not. I'm sure I don't know. I'd still have to probably fight and go head to head about this one. Like, women who stay at home and have children and take care of the children. We have a daughter. She's 5 right now. And those first 4 years, they are challenging, and it challenges your relationship. It challenges everything. Like, I kid you not, like, so hard.
Yes, I totally agree. Stay-home moms get a bad rap. It's getting better, I think, also for stay-home dads if you are. The ones that get to stay home, I feel that job is way harder than whatever job you have to go to, unless you're working in Canada in the oil rigs or something. I don't know. It's the hardest job, so I don't think that's even a comparison. If you're getting in arguments or fights over that, you got to talk that out. But stay-home parents, or 1, we have 1. If you have 3, 4, you have the hardest job in the entire world.
Yeah.
I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right there with you. Okay. So we're going to move on now, you guys. I've got an article from Forbes, and it's 10 ways to prevent money from ruining your marriage, which, let's be honest, that's what we all need. Like, let's break this down. Some of these I feel like are going to kind of cross over, so we'll kind of touch on them slightly. First one is, don't set yourself up for disaster.
What do you mean?
Yeah. What do they mean? Of all couples that I see, the number one mistake they make is spending too much on the wedding.
Let's talk about that. On the wedding world, someone we know.
Lied. It's from 2015, so this is like 5 years ago. So now it's even more.
Yeah, it's probably more because money goes up. But our friend who we chit-chatted with at dinner, I solely believe this. He gave his daughter the option, or kids the option, that if you don't get married, you get $10,000.
$10,000. If you don't do a ceremony, I'll give you $10,000.
Yeah, but that $10,000 would go into the wedding anyway. So if you're smart, you could whatever.
Yeah, but you could take it. You could go elope.
Yeah.
You could go.
I feel unless you have the money,
honeymoon.
again, not living above your means, is one in the money. But taking the money, if you don't have the money for a wedding, let's say you want to do a $20,000 wedding, you only have 5. Go traveling. Just do your honeymoon. Have a wedding at someone's house.
Just have a gathering. Like, get all the people. Okay. I've talked a friend, and if she's watching this ever, she knows exactly who I'm talking to directly. I talked her into having a wedding, but the reason why I did was because when I walked down that aisle and you have every single person that you love or very close, and they are standing there looking at you, it is the coolest, best surrounding feeling. Like, this thing happens, and It was really cool. So I told her that story. And then I remember after, like when she was planning her wedding, she's like, listen, you remember that story you told me? I'm like, yeah. She's like, you made me plan a wedding.
What's
And
the
I was
letter
like,
of the name? L?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
And
like,
they did it right.
And they did it right. Like, I mean, right is in the eye of the beholder.
Right meaning, like, I'm all about vibes and experience.
But they didn't go into crazy expenses for it. Anyways, I had to cry, of course, right? It just says most couples start out, can't afford to pay cash, so they go into debt to pay for this celebration. And many young couples, that's, on student loans and credit card debt, it literally you're drowning right out of the gate. Where it's supposed to be like the happiest time of your life. You're married, you're probably going to start a family somewhere along the way, and you are in crazy debt.
Question: do you think a lot of people believe in like the meant to be saying?
That's a good question.
I
You
feel like
guys let us know.
I feel like a lot of people do.
I
so
do.
Why don't people factor that in when, let's say, planning a wedding? And they're like, there's no way they can come with except going into debt and getting loans or credit cards. That's like the number one red flag if that's the case.
But people want to get married.
I understand.
Especially, I'd have to say it's a higher majority of women than men. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing I'm probably somewhat right. That you dream of this since you're a little girl. Like you dress up and you pretend to get married, whether you're getting married to your sister or your brother or your cousin. Like girls do that. I didn't do that.
Question: did you have more fun at our Vegas wedding or our 10-year anniversary?
Oh, 10-year anniversary, wedding anniversary, without a doubt.
Prime example.
But that's because
why?
We'd already been through a bunch of highs and lows, and we'd made it that
True, that
far.
was yes, that's a big part.
And then we had new friends in our life, so it was like a new feeling of all the love that we have right now. I don't know. It was exactly what I wanted.
What does everybody remember from a wedding? What's like the number, the top 2-3 things?
Who got really drunk?
Okay, so party.
The party. Maybe if like something funny and goofy happened. Nobody remembers the food,
party.
So don't waste your money on food.
So pretty much the party.
The party, just the party. And like the dancing and...
So it's the party.
Yeah, the party.
Like if we had, I mean...
So just a really
like
good party.
My sister is one that we've always said that like, just have the wedding at our house and we will do everything.
Yeah.
And if we had any close friend that we knew that's like, man, we really want to do it and it's like going to cost us $30,000 and like you could do it for $5,000.
We should start a side
and we'll
business
do it
of
at
being
our
like,
house.
oh, what was your wedding going to cost you? We'll get it in half. Could you imagine? Boy. Anyways. Okay. Number 2, discuss your demons.
Give me demons. What is
Okay.
what do you think?
your things that sit in the back of your mind
That you're going to spend
that
money on?
bother you. No. Like this is to make sure that your marriage is like you're going to be smooth. This is how to prevent money from ruining your marriage.
So
okay?
this is like a communication?
So it's like financial situations with your significant other before you tie the knot. You want to this is the time to mention outstanding debts, loans, income resources, investments.
So that's
or
what
other
it means.
things. Yeah.
Demons is let
Talk
it all out.
about all that. And we talked about that
Yeah.
earlier. So that crosses over. Number 3, understand your partner's money mindset.
Do you think you understand my mindset?
Now, but it took me
Yeah.
many years to get there.
Yeah, but
I did not get it at first.
But is there?
I just thought you were cheap.
Is there a time frame on everything,
Sorry,
or
baby.
is it more so? As long as you get there, it's like what I said. It's not trying to win the battle. It's trying to win the war.
So a lot of fights between spouses that seem as though they're about money aren't about money at all. It's actually a clash of temperaments.
I agree.
100%. I know. And that's us, you guys. That is us. Like if we ever argue about money, and do not get me wrong, we do argue about money. We work really hard to communicate well about money, but it's just our temperaments and our ways of who we are. That's funny. That's totally us. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to move to the next one. Is that okay? Set your eyes on the same prize.
Yeah. And your prize might not be the prize you want.
Ooh, true.
So
or you might have different prizes.
We said this in another episode of, I think it was something like planning to go do something of like always take, like you're not single anymore. You're not just, you have to absorb everything.
You have to make a decision based off of 2 mindsets instead of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to become one. So I agree with that 100%. Just when talking about things, it
all comes down to, let's say it together, communication. Is that our thing? That's our thing. Okay. Don't ignore the B word. What's the B word? What's
the B word?
Why couldn't I think of it? What's the B word when it comes to money?
Broke?
Budget.
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 That's one thing that we are
we're
not
good at. If you need coaching in budgeting, you're never going to hear us talking about budgeting. Well, we could, but
we do budget. Here's how we budget.
we do it without knowing we're doing it, I think.
We know, here's what we do about budgeting. We know what is valuable to us in our life, and a majority of it is experiences. So when it comes to physical items being bought, everything I think we purchase, we do second guess, like, do I need that? And
we discuss it.
And if, let's say, you or me do need that, and one of us thinks like, no, you don't, be like, well, you know what? It's going to make me happy for like the next week. And I know it's not a smart purchase, but at least I acknowledge it and I know that's fine. But we budget. We've talked and communicated over the years many times about knowing each other, that I think we just know what's important. Like physical items, experience items.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. We have a very big understanding of how we both work in that department.
Like what happens is, this is, partners, and it goes like this. And either you intersect and you keep going, either you intersect and you keep going apart.
Yeah.
But you want to intersect and keep going.
Or you just keep like, goo.
Yeah, or you just keep crashing. Yeah.
It's true though.
Yeah. Are you crash?
Yeah.
Are you I'm
exiting?
I'm exiting with an X.
Or you just creating that peak, that huge
are you
mountain peak
taking
that just
the
goes
one
higher
road together
and higher? Oh, I like that.
I gotta draw that one.
You
That's
better
good.
remember that. Okay, stop keeping secrets.
Okay, so this probably comes back to
keeping
multiple.
secrets from your spouse can put you on the fast track to marital mayhem. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon, especially when it comes to keeping secrets about money. Roughly 6 million consumers in the U.S., 7% of the country, have concealed financial accounts such as checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards with their spouses, blah, 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 blah. According to a poll, almost 20% have secretly spent $500 or more without telling their partner. Isn't that funny? I used $500 as like, if you bought that $500 dress, you better tell your hubby.
Yeah, I mean...
I have never bought something and not told you. I can tell you that right now.
Yes, but we're a little... We've worked very hard.
I told you it was a little bit less than what it was.
But then again, we have same account. So I'm like, what was this much money on this Amex? What was that?
He's like, you went out with the girls and you spent $250. You paid for the dinner. I'm like, no. Everybody gave me cash. Everybody, honestly, though.
But that's
everybody
even worse.
Give me cash.
That's even worse.
Why?
Because then the cash goes in your pocket and it doesn't go to me. So I mean, so that means you really did.
Secret,
but I know
ladies,
that about her. See, that's
you.
the thing. So it's all coming down to knowing, your partner.
Okay, you do know me so well. Give each other breathing room.
What do you mean?
Especially when you find yourself having to defend a purchase that your partner doesn't endorse. Like, find a way. Be like, all right, listen. Did she need that new pair of shoes when she has 452 pairs of shoes? It makes me happy. You just go, okay. Like, you pick and choose your battles when it comes to that.
Yeah,
you give me breathing room.
I have no problem if it makes someone happy, but if it makes the other person unhappy, then you speak about it.
Yeah.
And I think if you speak about it and the other person who's spending
but
money...
it would only make you unhappy if you financially didn't have the means for that person to be spending that money.
So then you're living above your means.
True.
And that's a
then
communal...
that's a whole nother discussion.
That's a conversation between each other.
Right.
And you're going to get through everything. So bring it up. Mm-hmm. If you believe, going back to starting step one, believe in marriage. Yes. If you believe in signing that paper and saying all those vows, then everything doesn't matter because you will get through anything.
With work.
Everything is work.
You ready for the next one?
Yes.
This is interesting. Come up with a system like CPUs. What are CPUs?
CPUs, computer.
Cost per
unit?
Use.
Well, yeah, CPUs cost per unit.
Per
use?
And okay, so we heard this. We're in the clothing business, you guys, and we're in many businesses, but we're also in the clothing business.
I knit women's lingerie.
And cost per use, like when you're selling somebody clothes and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Like, but how, like a pair of denim, jeans, right? You're going to wear those pair of jeans probably more than 100 times to 200 times in a year, right? So if you spent $70, the cost per use becomes so minuscule that it's actually a good investment, right? So that's like, it's spending, right? It's important for couples to have some ground rules in place to determine, for instance, what purchases need to be discussed ahead of time or what the reasonable spending limit is on clothing, kids' toys, food, household items. I really, really, really like that. And I'm going to use that to justify a lot of things in my life now. Zach's like, no. But I like that. I think that's really smart. You know what I mean? Like it's like a 500 pair of shoes that are only worn 5 times means they're $100 every single time you wear them. Not a good CPU.
Well, you also touched on something that could be a whole other episode, but you said kids. So financially budgeting, letting your kids run the show, it's a tough one. It's a tough one, especially when, I mean, this is going to be another episode that we're going to be talking about kids and marriage, but, you know, kids and budgeting and financial is massive.
And being able to say no to them.
It's massive. So if you're thinking about having children and you haven't had a good communication on finances, then you should really lock down that, you know, in
or
place.
Else it'll just get worse
because
and
once
worse
you
and
have
worse.
children, everything kind of becomes twice the amount.
Sure.
And there's so many other things that play into that we're going to talk about on another episode for sure.
You're drifting, Mr. Hitler, drifting.
Yeah, but you said kids. I'm like, oh my God.
We're going to get there. Okay, so we got 2 more. Remember the golden rule. What do you think the golden rule is?
I don't know.
Treat your spouse as you would like to be treated. And that's kind of the golden rule in life, right? Like treat anybody, everybody, how you want to be treated. If you wouldn't want to be treated like that, don't do it. You know what I mean? And it all comes back to
communication. And I wrote down
we need an easy button that we hit it and it says communication.
I wrote down some things that these are things I always did, like how Jess used to think I was like cheap, but I just have my focus on what I, you know, do and whatever. It's worked out well. But little things. Okay, you know those jars you put change in, you know, like your Culligan Man, like everybody thinks that like they've stepped up their game, like, oh yeah, you know your jar? I got a Culligan Man jar. Full
but nobody
of change.
has change ever.
Oh, no, you'll be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you'll be surprised. When's the last time you've asked someone if
Who
they have
has
a change
change?
jar?
Comment below.
You'll see.
Let me know. Take a picture. Send it to me.
Get a piggy bank that you have to break open.
He got me hooked on this.
You have to break it open.
This is how I moved to the United States.
This is why. If you look at your Culligan Man jar with change or money, you always look at it. If you take 1 quarter out, you're not saving. You're taking it out. If you have a piggy bank that you cannot see and the only way to get the money is break it open, you will not break it open. Only put bigger bills if you can and quarters to weigh it down, and wait every year. Do it as a couple and break it open and plan to do something nice with that. And I guarantee you,
have a goal for that piggy bank. We always had a travel goal for that piggy bank.
We would go traveling somewhere, but just always just have something in mind what you want to do for it, and it has to be broken open, and do it like once a year. Start big and small, because the change in your car, whatever it may be, it will add up. It will add up to so much. You will be so surprised, especially if you're in an industry where you get tips, if you work in the restaurant or anywhere. And if you're supposed to go out that night, let's say tonight you're supposed to go out and you're watching our podcast, which we appreciate.
And
you and you're going to spend $50 on something. Take that $50. 2 things you can do with it: put it in the piggy bank, and we don't get like a sponsor thing. There's apps out there that are investment apps, like Acorns, and it takes your cards, it rounds up to the pennies of each dollar you spend.
I tell everybody this. He loves this
because I don't use piggy banks anymore.
This is his piggy bank. Acorns that's your piggy bank.
I put money, or I'd say every purchase.
You guys, just let me. Sorry, but people know Zach for this piggy bank theory. Like, you don't even understand. Like, at Christmas, he would buy my family piggy banks. Like, we'd go traveling, we'd find piggy banks that you couldn't, like, they were sealed because you can really only find them overseas and Mexico and stuff. He would buy them for people. Like, he's known as the piggy bank guy.
It's the greatest thing. But like things like Acorns and anything out there, it's a great app to just stockpile your piggy bank money, and it gets invested for you. It costs nothing. It's great. We don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. Also, like we said, talk to a financial advisor. Anybody. You start at your bank. Okay, say, hey, look, I'm trying to get my finances in place. Is there someone to talk to? Let me do that. So,
okay, we got one more, and we already touched on this because we're psychic. Just kidding. It's call for reinforcements. Like, I can't say this enough. Like, when I find myself like butting heads with Zach, whether it's about money or just life in general, I know there's probably a couple reasons why that's happening. Number 1, I'm not communicating with him because it's all about
communication.
And 2, I'm probably thinking things in my head or overplaying it, and I'm frustrated, so I'm not communicating again, So like, find a friend to talk to, find a family member, somebody who's going to be neutral and not get in there and start.
Just think about being in a boat by yourself with one oar. Is it one oar?
Yes.
Isn't it better to have 2 people and 2 oars? So just speak about it to someone.
And if you don't need to pay money and go get professional help, I mean, it's always we encourage it heavily to everybody. But you got to do what you got to do. And I mean, money's hard. Money's tricky. It's there, but it's not there. Like it's the most invisible thing, but it's the most controlling thing. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I would say I like that one probably the best is to talk to someone because I can't tell you how many people I know that I don't know everything because it just doesn't make sense with how someone's life is. And let's say they're like, they never have money, but I'm like, but you do this and I know you have this. So like, what is going on? I think to be able to break down to someone, friend, or it should be your partner, if that, to be honest with each other of just like where you at. I think it'll kind of like set you free. I think it'll lift,
set you free. And I think that's why you have to talk, right? Like it is. It's like, even if you're just like, especially if you're frustrated, like I know sometimes like it goes back to the underspending for me. That's probably my biggest fight I have with Zach a lot because I love to give and I give in many ways, but the way that I like to take care of the people I love. And for somebody who likes to underspend, you guys, I'll be perfectly honest with you. That is, and you might laugh and be like, wow, that's your biggest financial problem. There's more, but we're not going to get into that. But that is my biggest. And we talk about it a lot. Like I will absolutely sit back and be like, hey, hun, like I got to tell you about this because it drives me crazy. And you get a little upset sometimes, but then we work it out.
I mean, it's healthy to get upset.
It is.
It's like we talked about the first one. I mean, arguing is important.
Yep.
If you marry someone prior, understand there's going to be arguments, and you're going to get through them because that's why you married the person, because you're the one I can get through these things with.
True. You were the one I can get through these things with.
I mean,
I love you.
That's what marriage is.
Yeah.
I think.
It's a lot of things.
That's the podcast
It's a
name.
lot
We're
of
changing
things.
the podcast
We're changing
name.
it.
Getting married, you can get through it with that person.
All right, guys. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, our third
third
episode.
one. You guys know where to find us. Any social media platform, Money, Marriage, Magic, all across the board, podcast, YouTube. Any comments you guys have, put it in the comments below.
Leave them there. We encourage it. I want to know what you guys want to see, what you want to hear. If you want us to get up and do a dance on the table, we'll do that for you too. Just kidding. But yeah, we appreciate you. We're so grateful for you're taking your valuable time in life and listening to us. And that's wild to me. So thank you so much.
Till the next episode.
Cheers. Love you.
All right. It's cheaper than therapy.
Yep.